Hey y'all, grown black folks talk back out on the climb. Winter is leaving, and there are still some ideas left that you need to leave with the last of the autumn leaves. Uh, I looked at the calendar today and I'm like, snap, winter only has 18 days left to go. Spring is coming. Now, of course, those of us that use the Gregorian calendar and not the fictional Game of Thrones calendar already knows that winter, both as a concept and in a reality, not only cycles through where there are 4 seasons, but there are places on this earth that you can go that winter doesn't even exist. And there are great goo gobs of people that don't even have that concept. Our ancestors lived in a very different climate than the extremes where there is a strong winter. So it's just like, y'all, winter is leaving, and winter can also be put out of your life as well. It's about making different decisions and leaving bad ideas behind. Now, it has been a difficult week for me because I'm watching people that I respect make, well, let's just say, at one time I respected them, making incredible mistakes on a public platform, idolizing grifters and introducing them to their audiences, out here trying to put curses on black women. I was just like, y'all. And then people say that they're very, black women have gotten kind of into the habit of saying that black men are not smart, that they're very stupid. And of course, black men want to sit up and talk about what some of the rest of the manosphere, that, men are logical and women are emotional. Well, here's the thing about you having bad information that's not true. You're saying that to me says that you've diminished your experience of your humanity by repeating that lie to yourself, but you didn't make me. And therefore, you cannot limit my human experience. But here's the problem about a lie. The problem is not a lack of intellect. The problem is that intellect is a vehicle. And if you put a lie in it, the lie is still going to drive it off the road. Just to deal with the common tone, men and women are human beings, meaning that we have the full spread of emotions. And as Jamil Calpin on The Beneficial Black Man has been talking about, men telling these lies is damaging them because it means that they cannot manage their emotions correctly. And it means that destroys them. It brings their stress levels up and they live shorter. Men out here talking about it's greater later. No, you don't have a later if you live like this. Average life expectancy for black men is 9 years shorter than black women. And that's not even accounting for the fact that my dad, who is now approaching 90, is actually messing up the numbers. That number is going to settle out to 55 to 62. And if you don't believe me, you have to remember that you have prominent men in the manosphere who are doing all this influencing who can't make it to 55. This is what happens when you put your intellect, attach it to a lie. The lie does not become true. Truth does not become a lie. Delusion does not become manifestable. Doesn't matter how smart you are. The problem is not the intellect. Here's the other thing about this. The problem about that particular lie, that men are logical and women are emotional, is that women like me make content every day. Not always on YouTube, but the flawless logic of my storytelling is manifesting more every day. I'm a woman. True Mystique, shout out to True Mystique, is a woman. Mocha Mommy, shout out to Mocha Mommy, is a woman. Black Women Making Money, shout out to Black Women Making Money, is a woman. Confidence with Love is a woman. If you go over there, she gonna tell you, first of all, I'm God is born. On top of all that, I don't know what you were talking about. She and I divide on that question. We'll come back to spirituality in a minute. Erica De Niro TV, shout out to Erica, is a woman. Level Up Single Mom is a woman. Black Women Making Money is a woman. And all of us come out here and put out content that is human, both logical and emotional. And so the more silly men say that, the more they are disproved every day. If any of you have taken the time to watch my content and realize, in case you didn't know, that I was a woman, I am. Just a very deep voice one. I mean, we have men coming up talking about, where are all the light voice women? Well, life isn't what you saw on television in the 1950s. First of all, women in the 1950s were mostly European women. They've always been deep-lung, deep-voiced women even then. In 1950, one of the most popular singers was Peggy Lee. Y'all remember Peggy Lee, right? Fever! in the morning. And that's as far as I can go because we're on YouTube. But she was a contralto. She was a deep voiced woman. But because casting decisions were being made to please a population that liked Marilyn Monroe, didn't hear as much of that back then. Casting decisions were being made to please white supremacy. So other women who have the full range of human voices were not allowed. So people have this idea that the 50s and the 70s give you a sense of what women's voices are like. No. That's an intellect that has not been well fed. That's all that is. Doesn't mean a person lacks intelligence. It means they don't have the proper information. Now, what ends up happening, though, is that when people decide to double down, then they're going to run their intellect off the side of a cliff. That's what's happening to a lot of people. And why is this happening? Why is it that people would take their intellect and wed it to a lie and double down again and again and again and again and again? Why? Because the problem is spiritual. I check back in on black male content creators that went off the rail from time to time, and what I noticed, because many of them use their platform for self-expression, which is good. The problem is me being a journalist, I have a long memory. I can see how people's lives are going off the rails. And because they are getting further and further from being happy, they're getting further and further from their goals. The lie that they want to put forth, but the universe refuses to manifest it, is that they are in charge. You know, we was kings and smack. Even if that was true, most people in all times and all places are average. Average people in their society. Now, if you're from our ancestors were from the Malinke and the Songhai civilizations. If you do your math, it's civilizations of the Congo. If you go back far enough, Kemet, Kush, as far back as you want to go. But that doesn't do anything to help us with our lives here. We need skill acquisition for the country we live in. That's what's going to make your life better. And when I say skill acquisition, I'm not just talking about you knowing how to work a good job. I'm talking about emotional skills, how to play well with others, how to be emotionally intelligent, how to put things in your intellect that are solid, how to appreciate truth. You need skill acquisition. The past of black men does us no good, except that we can now take black men and compare them to what their ancestors were. It's not a fun comparison. Meanwhile, black women keep on fighting for a better future. You can look at that through American history, which means that's closer to the line of Amani Rinas of Kush. It's closer to the line of Nanny of the Maroons. It's closer to the line of Stagecoach Mary. The line of Ida B. Wells, Mary McLeod Bethune. Some of us are keeping up the fight for better, more so than others. Now, there are still black men fighting for better. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I do not know this is going on, but most of them doing the fight for better are not up here fighting with black women. That makes no sense. You try to build a better future, but you fighting with your sister? And for those of you who are black women who feel like you're doing better is fighting with your brother, the problem is not lack of intellect. The problem is spiritual. The problem is people want to go with a lie that without submitting to God, they can have his privileges. People are trying to step up at that long step, and like Adam before them, and like Satan before that, falling. For those of you who are math and science inclined, you know that if you count one by one, you will never reach an infinity of numbers. Now, infinity will contain every number you can count to, all the countable numbers, but you will never be able to count to a number that's so big that it's infinity. It's not possible. It is another order of mathematics. Okay, let's say we count by 10, or we count by 15, or we count by a million, or a billion, or a Google. That's a 10 with 100 zeros behind it. You're never going to get there. Your tongue will rot away long before that ever happens. It's not possible to do that. This is a physical universe manifestation of the reality. Another one, for those of you who are really into mathematics and science, is Gödel's incompleteness theory. Gödel is the name of the mathematician who determined that it will never be possible for mankind to have complete knowledge on any subject. There will always be something outside of our knowledge. Why? Because we are finite. I was publishing my newsletter on Hive today. Things Miss D likes, edition 8. And I had just published that sucker, and then someone came through an hour after I published it and put something that needed to be in that edition because I only put it out once a week. So I could have doubled down and said, heck, I've already put it out. I'm not going back. Or I could be humble and realize, okay, I didn't know that because it didn't exist yet. The information didn't exist for me to know. And then I got that done, and that was all cool. And guess what? Someone else dropped a post. And so now I got to edit it twice. Does it feel good to the ego to be reminded? No, I don't know everything. I don't have all the knowledge that I need to do this, that I need to do correctly. No, but I thank God that I saw it. And there is the issue. You can either have a God or try to live like one. But if you wedge your intellect to the idea that you are in charge of your life and you are in charge, that you're going to manifest this and that, and you can have this, like we do in the church, name it and claim it, grab it and have it. We should have what you say. No, not most of the time. You can't. The Bible is very clear on this. There are things in the physical world you can definitely work toward. But in Deuteronomy, it also said it is the Lord that gives you power to get wealth. So there's a balance. You do everything you can. And then sometimes you still need God to help you do things. But if you're going to do it on your own, you're going to look back on your life and either in burgeoning pride, lie that you did it just fine on your own, or you're going to look back and see an increasing level of broken dreams. And here's the thing. No matter how smart you are, the Confederacy had some very, very intelligent men. At least one. Nazism had at least one very intelligent man. And by the way, Adolf Hitler was no slouch. So at least two, maybe even three, Hitler, Spears, and Goebbels. The problem was the intellect was tied to a lie. There are very many American white men who are highly intelligent, but they are going with the lie of white supremacy. Their intelligence is not lacking. There are many black men in the manosphere who are highly intelligent. The problem is a lot of what they are pushing is a lie. And what is happening to other people can happen to you and me. So, do not allow yourself to believe the lie that your ideological opponents are unintelligent. That's not the problem. And that puts you in danger. That puts you in danger of believing for the sake of ideology in a lie. And once you start believing in falsehoods, what you're going to find out is the world refuses to manifest your beliefs. It sets up cognitive dissonance. You don't need that trouble in your life coming into 2023. Now do you? We're still early in the year. Spring is right over the hill. You need to put good water on what it is you want to bud out and blossom and bear you fruit in this year. Don't poison it by believing a lie. Don't poison it by listening to anybody else's lie. Do not recommend is one of the finest buttons that you will ever have here on YouTube. And like I said, if what I'm saying to you is no longer serving you, you are welcome to delete to put do not recommend on me as well. But here's the deal. The truth doesn't go away because you delete it. It just doesn't. It's like I said, this poor man out there looking for where are all the light voice women. They are in the exact proportion of the society that they used to be. Now, there are some studies that women's voices have deepened over the years. But again, you have to look at when you did studies on this in 1950, who did they study? But also, it is possible because women have to adopt a deeper voice to be taken seriously in a world of men. It is possible. That is possible. I'm not saying that there may not be some change, but also more women are at greater ages too are being surveyed now. Of course, I have had this magnificently deep voice since I was 16 years old. I don't have to deepen my voice. I get on the phone sometimes and people say, "Thank you, sir," because it's not even the fact that I have a deep voice. It's that I speak with unquestioned authority. I don't say things like, "Well, I think, and maybe if we tried it this way." I don't do that. Now, that leads me to have to come back and backtrack when something has gone wrong. I've had to apologize to people on this channel for having the wrong take on situations. But I live in such a way that I don't qualify. And I roll this voice up and down, and I don't care who doesn't like it. I was hiking up the hill today. This very handsome young white man said, "Stay beautiful. I really like what you have on." I'm like, "Stay handsome, friend. You have a good day now." A black man was noticing me as well. There gonna be men that like what they see and like what they hear. I don't need to please anybody by trying to sound like I'm a soprano. I haven't been a soprano since I was 14 years old. Now, if I sit around and warm up properly, I can still hit the high C, but y'all don't want to hear that publicly. Y'all do not want to hear that publicly. Because the truth is not going to go away. No matter what you try to do with it. I'm not a soprano anymore. I'm a contralto. It is what it is. I'm a fat black woman. Now, I'm doing my best hiking up and down around these hills to take off a little bit less of that because of health reasons and because I want to be able to continue to get out and be in nature as an older woman. But I'm not changing it because anybody thinks I should and because I'm less human and less involved with human rights. I'm not going to do none of that because none of that foolishness people are telling you is true. So Walter Jones made a video several years ago talking about how 90+% of everything you think you know in this culture is a lie. That probably can be revisited because I think at this point, given that 5-6 years have passed and the rise of artificial intelligence and all kinds of things being created by machines and deep fakes being a thing, we probably could make an argument that that number is now about 99% of what you think you know. Living in a society that believes hard in the inferiority of everybody but Anglo-Saxon men, yeah, that's true. But like I said, every day that kind of old lie is told. Every day someone like me comes and does something, and the evidence that that's not true continues to build. Shed the idea that the problem is people's intellect. There is plenty of material for people with intelligence who want to consider it honestly. But you have to understand there are emotional and spiritual reasons that people choose a lie to invest in. Leave the idea, which is also a lie, that people are less intelligent than you because they don't believe what you believe. That too is a lie. Leave that in the winter, shed that like the autumn leaves, and get ready because you want to water the trees of your enterprise, whatever they may be, with fresh, pure water because spring is coming. All right, y'all have a good day. I gotta get off this hill. It's getting cold out here. It's still winter. Bye. Thank you for listening.